Hi, and welcome to Conversations with God with Nsikan Abasi. Do enjoy today's episode.
If the pressures of life are crushing in, and despair and fear hold you, you're surrounded by anxiety. Jesus will rescue you. He tells you, be still, my child. He tells you to fix your eyes on him, 'cause he'll never leave you lonely. So you should trust in him. He tells you, be still, my child. He tells you to fix your eyes on him, 'cause you'll never leave you lonely. So you should trust in him. He tells you, be still, my child. He tells you to fix your eyes on him, 'cause you'll never leave you lonely. So you should trust in him, 'cause you'll never leave you lonely. So you should trust in him, 'cause you'll never, never leave you lonely. So you should trust in him, 'cause you'll never, 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 never. So you should trust in him, 'cause you'll never leave you, never abandon you. He's always with you. He won't desert you. He will be with you till the end of the age. So you should trust in him. So you should trust in him. So you should trust in him.
Hi again, welcome back. My name is Nsikan Abasi, Insi Baby, aka. I always put the aka in the wrong place. Is aka Insi Baby. That's how English people speak. English is not my first language. Well, technically it is, but I like saying that in case I make any grammatical blunder. The song you just heard is called Be Still. The story behind the song is quite, well, I say peculiar because, well, not really, because Praise the Lord has a similar story. But I was doing an internship somewhere, and in the middle of the internship, a tune started playing in my head, like in the middle of the day. I was convinced that this is a song I've heard before, right? With Praise the Lord, I knew that I hadn't heard that before. But with this tune, I was convinced that I knew a song like that. I searched, though, I searched. I could not find whose song that was or what song that was. After a while, I felt like God was telling me, Nsikan, this is your song. I got the tune in 2018. Fast forward to December 25th of 2020, Christmas. That's when I got the lyrics for the song. As an adult, Christmas has been a serious letdown. And now I'm realizing that it has been a letdown because I'm not planning any activities for myself. But I just want to stay at home and have my friends come see me, in my house. But apparently, that's not how it works. Also, there's traffic in Lagos. I don't want to be in traffic. The other day, I was coming home from church and I spent almost 3 hours. What do I mean almost? I spent 3 hours. I left church by 9. I got home by 12 midnight. The range of emotions I felt that night. Wow. From laughter to sadness to, I don't know, I really felt sad for Nigeria that day because these are the same people that will be complaining about governance. Yet they are breaking traffic rules. And they don't even care that even in their breaking of traffic rules, nobody is going to win, not even them. Like, this is a different rant, but when you are driving one way, do you realize that you're gonna block yourself too? Do you? Or is it that they just don't have any foresight. They can't see. Anyway, I got the lyrics on that day. Now, 2020 was a weird year for everybody. On that day, I felt some type of way. Things were happening in my personal life, things that I may not even be able to put like a name to. But yes, I felt some type of way. There's an area before you enter the living room. You just put chairs there, right? Sometimes I like sitting there. So I was sitting there on that day and just thinking about life, thinking about how I'd gone through the year 2020. It was my first year of working professionally, like the whole year. The times before that, I was internships, and nobody takes internships seriously like that in this part of the world. So I was just thinking about my life, and then I remembered a similar situation where I felt some type of way, and I was sitting in those chairs, but this was 2017 January. And now I'm about to tell a story that I've told. I have told it, but I've also never really told it. And when I, like, now in my life, it's almost like it never happened. And it's wild because it was such a big deal then. Um, and I think this situation was what deepened my relationship with God, honestly. After secondary school, I went to college, not university, college. I was going to do A levels, but when I found out that now I didn't want to do college in Nigeria, I wanted to do college in Nairobi, Kenya. See, lofty goals. And honestly, those goals could have been funded. And I thank God for that. But my dad was like, hell no, yeah, you're staying in Nigeria where we can see you. So I did college in Nigeria. When I found out I was doing college in Nigeria, I changed from A levels to foundation. Very good idea. Because if I didn't change from A levels to foundation, I don't know how my life's trajectory would have changed. After foundation year, I got into university. I got into the university of my dreams. No, not dreams, of my choice. University of Leeds in UK. And I was really excited. See, I'd been waiting for the moment where I'll leave this country. We used to call it over the white waters. I don't even know. Anyway, there's a lot to talk about with respect to how we view our country and how we view other countries. But that's not today's discussion. As I was about going to university, I had asked my dad if he was going to, because I really researched the school. I found out that there were installmental plans, installmental. There's one of those words. I think instrumental is the one that does not exist. I don't know. Again, English is not my first language, although it is. But yeah. There were instrumental plans for him to pay the school fees within. So I asked him, "Do you want to pay the fees in installments?" And he laughed at me. My dad laughed. He laughed. I was like, I'll pay in full. I'm like, Oshe Odogu. I did not know that word then. So in my head, I was just like, yes, my dad is a big man. Well. At some point in first year, I realized that something weird was going on. Like my sister was graduating from her master's, her second degree and a master's that summer. But she overdue. Like she got a second degree and an MBA at the same time. Who does that? I say who does that a lot. And I actually don't say that a lot in my personal life. So I think this is the content creator in me. My sister was graduating, so my parents were coming over to UK for her graduation. I was already in the UK, my sister was already in the UK. So when they came was when I now realized, hey, things may not be as I thought. Now the thing is that my parents are very modest people. Like even though we've enjoyed comfort in life, they never allowed about wealth ever. If I needed to spend money, I had to ask them for money. And like there are just some certain things that they would never buy for me, like luxury clothes, bags, whatever. What are those? My parents will never spend money on things like that because in their head it wasn't necessary. What was necessary was school. And whatever the cost was, my parents would fund my educational dreams. But every other thing did not matter to them. And also there are times that they'll say we do not have money. But in my head I'm like, ha ha, I know you people we do not have money talk. We actually have money. It's just that you're a bit scared. Well. So this time around, it's when I realized that maybe we actually did not have money because instead of entering cab, we entered train from London Heathrow to East London, and that was a very long journey. Like, hey, and with my parents' many bags. Hey, and instead of staying in a fancier hotel, we stayed in that wasn't that bad. They stayed in a hotel. I stayed with my sister in her apartment. And like even when we went for the graduation because it was in Sunderland. Sunderland is quite far. So it was a long train ride. Well, even the hotel we stayed in Sunderland wasn't so fancy. So I was like, And the thing is, my parents are like they keep us informed, so we knew that things were somehow right. But again, I never really believed them, so I was just like, okay. Like I was just looking at it, it was looking at me. So I went back to Nigeria for the holiday, and that's when my eye really opened because the things that we could easily do we could not easily do them again. So by the time I was going back to university for second year, I was what I was worried about was my school fees because the year before my dad had already paid everything before we even applied for visa. And that was weeks before, maybe a month self or even more than 1 month before school started. And as I was returning to school, I didn't have my school fees. What I had was part payment for my accommodation. And see me, foolish me. Well, to be fair, I didn't really know I didn't really believe what was happening then. Why now I have to get a more expensive accommodation in second year? Like, who does that? Anyway, foolish me. So I had just part payment, like not even half, like maybe one third or one quarter of the payment for my accommodation. That's what I had with me as I was going back to school. My dad was like, "Don't worry, God will provide." My mom was like, "Don't worry, God will provide." I couldn't register without paying my school fees. That's number one. Number two is that if I didn't register before a particular date, I would no longer be a student of the university and they would have to report me to immigrations and I would get deported. Okay. Hmm. I am an academic person. Well, to be fair, maybe not, but I excel at academics, and I'm not tooting my horn. I excel at it. In first year of university, as I was entering, because of my results from foundation, I got an academic scholarship, a partial scholarship for academic excellence. But my dad had already paid the full thing, so my university actually owed us some money. They said they were going to roll it over. So in second year, we didn't have to worry about that portion, but there was still a larger portion waiting waiting for us to pay. In first year, I wasn't so serious. At some point, I stopped attending lectures because I met the wrong person, a wrong girl, a wrong friend. I didn't put so much effort into my first year. We were also told that first year does not count towards our final grade when we're graduating, and that's actually true. So I didn't really care. Like I tried, but I didn't really try either. And at the end of the day, I got a 2-1. So I'm just like, it's a baby with the brains. So I was just like, yeah, Nsikan, we're graduating from university with a first class. So what we're going to do is that we're going to take ourselves seriously in second year. But with all of this happening, the financial troubles happening as I had resumed classes in second year, like I just could not concentrate because I was technically not a student of the university until I registered for second year and I didn't have money to pay the school fees to register. So I was like, should I even try? Because I may be deported. What's the point? I just didn't know what to do. I really lost momentum. And second year was the year I had the worst results ever in my life. Like when I saw those results, I cried. I wept so that my parents will not weep for me. Anyway, So the days kept on passing. They kept on passing. The deadline kept on approaching. I'll talk to my father. I'll say, he does not have the money yet. The day before the deadline, my dad called me and he was like, oh, he's sending because we're meant to pay half of the fees at the very least to register. So he was sending that half to me. And I was like, oh my God, God, you're so good. God, you're so good. Like, I was so excited. So I paid the fees and then I could register while we had crossed over that issue. There was another one waiting for me in January because that is when the next half of the fees should be paid. That's when the next payment for my accommodation was coming up. That was just when, yeah, I needed money then. In December, like, cause my dad was trying to get like another job that will actually pay him, because a lot of people were using his services without payment. Just very frustrating thing. Like some Nigerian employers, wow, people need Jesus. He had gotten a new job, so we're very hopeful that things were going to turn around. Well, they didn't. But by December, nothing was really coming out from that job, and there was payment that was meant to be made in January. So by December, my dad was like, okay, he's going to sell one of his lands so that he can pay for my school fees. At the time, my brother was also doing his master's in Kenya. So I was like, okay, all right. Then I noticed that my dad stopped calling me. He just stopped calling me. So one day, this was in January, right? I had applied for accommodation. Now, the reason I chose University of Leeds was so that I could live in Central Village. If you know University of Leeds, if you know Central Village, you know what I'm talking about. Like, as I was looking at all the universities available to me when I was about to do my application process, I checked the accommodations and Central Village spoke to me. I know it's a very stupid, foolish reason to choose a university, but I chose it for Central Village. So I got Central Village in my first year and I was determined to live in Central Village until I left university. So I was also living in Central Village that second year. So I applied for Central Village again. You have to apply for accommodation. So I applied for it again for my third year. And one of my friends, she also applied and she had gotten feedback and they had assigned her a room for our final year. I hadn't gotten feedback and I was worried that because Central Village is a very like I'm when I say I chose university because of that accommodation, it's a prime location. It's 2 minutes away from city center, 2 minutes away, or even 1 minute away from our main lecture halls. At least the halls that I used to use as a law student. It was just close to everywhere apart from church, but it was close to every other place. Like I really liked. There was a Tesco downstairs. I really liked that accommodation, and I'm sure I wasn't the only person. I was sure that I was going to fill out soon, and this one I hadn't heard back from the accommodations office. I was like, what's happening? So I called them and I said, excuse you, why haven't you assigned me an accommodation? And they said, oh, it's because the second payment for my accommodation has lapsed and I've not paid for it. That one came before the deadline for the school fees, the second payment for the school fees. And hey, wow. Mm. So I called my father, the person responsible for me. And I said, excuse you, daddy, I thought you said we're going to sell land so that you can pay for my fees and my accommodation and stuff. And he was like, yeah, that he had to give that money to my brother because they were going to send him out of his masters if he didn't pay. And at this point, I started crying because I was just like, what kind of problem is this in life? Like, I was 18 by the way. I was just 18 as all of this was happening. But I was silent. I didn't want my dad to know I was crying, so I would have just ended the call and gone from there. But my dad was now apologizing. He calls me mama. I was like, I'm sorry, mama. It first of all, it made me cry some more, but it also made him cry. So here were two people crying on the phone, crying together. And then he cuts the call, I guess, to continue his crying. Me, I was worried about my father, so I called my mom. I said, Mommy, I also crying on the phone. I said, Mommy, I just spoke to daddy. He was crying. Can you check on him to see that he's fine? And she's like, You, why are you crying? You and your father, why are you both crying? So I told her that, oh, the deadline is approaching. I couldn't get the accommodation I wanted because of payment issue. And she was like, Will you people stop this drama? Do you know, my mom is actually a very funny woman because in certain situations she can be so dramatic. But in the situations you expect her to be dramatic in, she is very calm. She's like, Will you people stop crying? God has already assured us that He's going to provide. Why don't you calm down? And that's the thing, because all this while my parents had been telling me, You will graduate in 2017. That was when I was meant to graduate. You will graduate in 2017 from your university. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if that's meant to give me comfort. But right now, all I'm seeing is that we don't have money. And it also does not make financial sense that I am in a university outside of Nigeria. Mind you, my school fees had doubled in Naira because of the exchange rate had begun to rise at that time. Like it began to rise at that time. Now it's astronomical, but then we're all screaming because it went from £250 to £500. Oh, sorry, 250 Naira to £1 to 500 Naira to £1. I don't understand how you are able to keep calm. But anyway, the conversation with my mom dried my tears. I called my friends, lamented to them, cried to them. They comforted me, blah 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 blah. Like I was just so sure that I'll get deported. And besides that, I felt serious guilt for being alive, for being born, because I am my parents' last child and I was a mistake. I am not unwanted, but I was a mistake because there's 7 years in between me and my immediate elder brother. You cannot lie to me that they want another child, and they have also told me anyway. So I was just like that. If my parents stopped at the original number of children that they wanted, they wouldn't be having this issue because my siblings were all grown. Only one of them was still doing his masters. The others had finished school. They began to work. They were responsible for themselves. But here I was, just starting out university. And I'm like, if my parents had stopped at the number of children that they wanted, they wouldn't be in this conundrum. And I just felt very guilty for existing. I really felt so sorry for my parents to be going through this situation and being responsible for me. I felt so bad. And the thing is that I'm feeling emotional all again as I'm saying this. Well, I think it was a week to when the deadline was 12th of February, I believe, for the second payment of my school fees. And it was a week to 12th of February. I'd gone to church, and during church service we took the communion. Now, as that communion, I don't know where the faith came from, but as I was taking the communion, I was like, first of all, God, regardless of whatever happens, I will forever serve you. Forever. Like no, not shaking. I am forever yours. Even if I get deported, even if I'm homeless, I will forever serve you. And then I took the communion. And from that day I had peace. I was just like, yeah, regardless, even if I'm deported, everything will be fine. Then some days after, someone paid my school fees, a family member. He paid my school fees, he paid my accommodation, and he also gave me extra money for survival. I was like, wow. Because how this happened, wow. Like, wow. And you would think, you would think that's where the problem ends, but there was third year. There was third year ahead of me. Now, by the time third year was approaching, I'd already seen God come through for me in second year, like literally before I was about to be kicked out of university. So I had more faith, but my faith wasn't also that strong. So by third year, I came back to school without school fees. Not even, at least in second year, I came back with half of the fees. This third year, I came back with nothing, not even accommodation, nothing. I came back with just my clothes. Funny, on a side note, I actually got Central Village again for third year. God is so good, guys. God is so good. Anyway, I came back with nothing. And another family member said that he was going to take up my school fees and my accommodation and everything. And I'm so grateful to those family members that came through for us in that season, because my parents are against asking for handouts in life, like especially my mom. But these people saw us in our need and they helped us. They rose up to the occasion. I'm so grateful. And he said that he was going to pay the school fees, which was amazing. This was days before the deadline. But the thing was that the payment wasn't, I don't know, there was some issue with the payment, Sha. So by the time the payments got to the university, the deadline had already passed. I was in library. If you went to University of Leeds, I was in Laidlaw Library. I really like that library. I was reading, enjoying my dandy self. When I realized that I did not have access to school portal again. I don't have access to anything in school again. I couldn't even enter the library that I was inside. Like if I left that library, I couldn't re-enter. I said, hey. So I went back. I went to the accommodations office and I'm like, excuse you, I don't have access. And they're like, well, because you haven't registered and you haven't paid. And I'm like, but he has paid. It's just not reflecting in your school fees in your portal, whatever. And they're like, well, that until it reflects, there's nothing they can do. So yeah, I was deflated. I walked back to my accommodation. At least I still could access the accommodation. And on my way back, Every Moment by Forever Jones, Every Moment was playing in my head. You're in the midst of chaos, hiding me beneath your feathers. You'll keep my heart from failing. Every moment in your hand. Every moment in your hand. And in that moment, I felt like God was telling me that it can be still. And I think this is what God had been telling me throughout this whole school fees situation was it can be still, that He is with me. The situation the Israelites found themselves in when they were leaving Egypt really resonated with me, because they had finally left Egypt and then they now got to the Red Sea and they were stuck. The Egyptians were coming up behind them, and there was a Red Sea in front of them, and they did not see a way out. And then they started crying out to Moses. Moses cried out to God. But Moses told them in Exodus 14, verse 13 to 14, that be still, you will see the salvation of God. These Egyptians you see today, you will see them no more. And I really felt like I was in that situation, because again, I had just overcome second year financial issues. Here I was in third year. Of course, I knew the payment was coming, but it was just very frustrating. What if the payment finally came, but they made me um wait till next year to be able to register for third year, and I couldn't graduate in 2017. Just many what ifs. God was telling me, so can be still, be still. And indeed, by the next day, everything was sorted. I was granted access back. I could register and all that. And I was so grateful. Funny thing is that the university had sent me a mail telling me that because I hadn't registered, they had revoked my access to the university in general. And the mail arrived after everything had been sorted. And when I saw that mail, I laughed, I cried, I rolled on the floor, thanking God, being grateful for the family members who came through for me. Like, I've not really told this story. And the funniest thing is that even after that, I've been in financial situations where I've just been wondering what's going to happen. But one thing these experiences taught me is that I can never be broke. I can never, broke and Nsikan can never be in the same sentences. And why this song, right? Because I really felt pressure. I really felt anxious about when my life was going to be. I felt guilty. I felt despair. I felt many things, and God was saying, Nsikan, be still. I will rescue you. I will rescue you. And He really did. And I just want to encourage anybody out there. Maybe your situation is even similar with mine. I know because of the exchange rates, many people can relate to what I'm saying. Um, God will come through. God will come through. He will come through for you. Maybe not in the way you expect, because I definitely did not expect it to be through family members. I expected my dad to get a paying job because he had jobs, just were not paying him, to get a paying job that will cover me. But that's not what happened. But God still came through. So God will come through. God will rescue you. Jesus will rescue you. So just be still. Don't let your heart be troubled. God is for you. He is always for you. And He will never leave you lonely. Thank you so much for joining today's episode. I hope you got some encouragement out of it. I love you. God loves you. God keeps you. Bye.
'Cause you